Welcome to my Garageband tutorial. I'm going to walk you through how I make some of my backing tracks that you see me play along to on my YouTube channel. This one I got pulled up here is from my Reverb guitar lesson. Let's take a quick listen. Let's pull up the... Cool. Alright, let's talk about how I made this. So how I make a lot of my backing tracks, I follow, the same formula. Let's see, I usually start with the keyboards. Now, I can play a bit of piano, but not very well. So what I use is easy keys. Let me talk about how I get to that. So here I am on my Rhodes track. Let's go up here to our little smart control button. Boop. Now that pulls up my controls. Now watch out, sometimes when you'll click that it'll have the master track on. Let's get him out of there. Alright, so now we're looking at the Rhodes track and we have our controls. Here's what GarageBand does to us. It's a great program, it comes with our Macs for free. What fun. It hides all the magic down below in here. There they are, the plugins. This is where the stuff happens. Now, I'm not using any of the plugins except for one. I'm using easy keys, which is super fun. Let's pull it open. So, boop. Wait for that to open. Let me pull it on screen so you can see it. Ooh, look how pretty that is. Now I love easy keys because I can just program in the chord. Just like that, I can tell the piano player what to play each bar. And so you can see I've charted out the chord changes here to Equinox. Coltrane tune. It's also very similar to The Thrill Is Gone, B.B. King. It's just a minor blues that I want to use. And so you see I had to put all the chords in. And the default setting is just kind of regular. I'll just do whole notes. Now here's where it gets squirrely and neat. You select it, and then you go up. And it can do all sorts of stuff other than the standard. Let's try, what's laid back sound like? Kind of neat. So there's a lot of options for the, somebody sat down at a piano and played all these examples to a MIDI keyboard. And then they saved them all. Now I'm going to just leave it regular style as it was because I don't want to mess with what I've done. Other cool thing about easy keys, that's a Rhodes. Again, it has presets for all sorts of different sound settings. Here's a rotary speaker. Kind of cool. I'm just going to go back to default. Also, I have also a Wurlitzer, I have a Mellotron, which I'll get to in a second, a clavinet and a pianet, and they're smart. They sell you a bunch of different things that you can use. I love the 70s, so I have a Rhodes and a Whirly and a Mellotron. A lot of times, if I use an organ or strings, I'll just use GarageBand sounds for that, but I love the way this looks, really. That's a big part of it. You want the program interface to be pretty. So I usually start with that, a piano track, and you can hear this one. I did some kind of a different version. Yeah, I kind of have him or her doing something interesting there. Then, what I'll usually do is copy it over to a second pad file. Notice the panning. One of them is 20 degrees off to the left, and the other I'm going to go ahead and put, on the other side just to create a nice pad. Now this one is, let's go into this one. So again, oh, there it is. Pull up the controls. I have another easy keys virtual instrument open. This one is the Mellotune, which is their Mellotron, very Beatlesy, David Bowie kind of thing, and I have it on the solo flute setting. Let's take a quick listen to that. Get over there so I can pull it up so you can hear it better. Nope. Nope, I don't want to save a preset. Kind of cool, and I will point out, just like the presets are where the magic is. Watch this. I'll put on Boys Choir. This is gonna be silly. Pretty epic. Sometimes I'll use that sneakily, kind of real low in the mix. But I tend to like the flutes because I think that's the opening of Strawberry Field is Mellotron flute. So, but I like that pretty low. I had it down at around -9. Yeah. So once I have like kind of a keyboard pad down, then I'll go and add drums. I can play drums too, but man, miking up drums in your house, such a hassle. I can never get good sounds that way. So I was just like, let me just buy the samples. So again, Toontrack. I am not paid to sell their products. I just like their products. I use Superior Drummer. Pull it open here. Here's what we got in Superior Drummer. You can use Easy Drummer too, which is their more affordable one, and probably if I were to do it again, I'd probably just buy that, because this has just so many controls that I don't even know what they are, to be honest. I've only scratched the surface of what all of this stuff can do. You can change the tuning of the drums, you can change the articulation, just like everything else. It has mixer presets over here. I think I'm doing short and dry. Watch what happens if I do roomy. Really gets roomy. I like short and dry. Yeah, because I was going for like a 70s kind of dead sound. And then yeah, I have different drum kits up here. I think I'm using default Gretsch. Watch what happens if I use Slingerland. This is like a weird like 1930s Slingerland kit that I bought. Uh-oh. Oh, the song ended. That's why it stopped. I don't really use that. I have yet to find a use for that weird one. Go back to the Gretsch. Cool. Oh yeah, I have weird reverb on the track right now, which I'll discuss in a moment. So far. And then, bass. Notice I put the drums and bass up the middle, the keys off to the sides. Now, let's talk about the bass. The bass I just use, again, let's go, again, that knob right there, very important. Boop. There's its controls. Now the bass, I just use Garageband's sound library for that, which is over there. I'm in, electric guitar and bass. It has all these presets, clean bass, crunch bass. I usually stay in one of these, and I'm using Big Stack. I like to play bass with a pick. I kind of like that Carol K type sound. Let's just see, we'll put it on Pick Brightener. Now notice when I did that, all these down here changed, because it preloads all the plugins for you. Modern Stack, they change. I use this one if I'm doing something mellow with the Hi-Fi DI. Kind of rounder. Go back to Big Stack. So yeah, you can, for your guitars, just look at all these. Look at all these presets. You go in and you play around with them. But I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to close that again. In general, yeah, I'd recommend experimenting a lot with what it comes with before you do other stuff. All right, keys, drums, bass, then rhythm guitar. The rhythm guitar, I could have used, the sound library up here, and adjusted the amps to make it sound as realistic as possible. In general, with amp modelers, pull the highs down. I find the highs is what gives away the digitalness. But I also happen to have Amplitude, so that's what I have loaded up on the rhythm guitar track. Notice he's pretty far over to the right on this track. Pull him up. And let's solo him so we can listen. Get over there. So, I guess I'll have to talk about this and then discuss. Now, Amplitude is really fun. I use it for when I teach Skype lessons and stuff like that. If I'm on my home computer, I'll just plug into that. I bought the Jimi Hendrix bundle, which is super fun because it has all, models of all his amps, but then specifically, record by record, song by song, it has presets. So for this rhythm track, I used Little Wing, the intro. And so what that is, let's see, it says, that looks like a silver-faced twin. You can see, actually the treble's pretty high up. And then, you have stomp boxes. If I wanted, I could turn on a delay. I put that on there myself. Let's listen. of silly up here. Yeah, that would make the track a bit messy to have the delay. So he's off. There's my amp controls. Oh. And then you can control the cab too. So right now I'm running through a Marshall cab with a, I think that's like a, what kind of mic is that? It's a U67 model. Let's change the mic. I know that there's a ribbon in here. I love ribbon mics in general. I love like the gristliness. So yeah, that's a copy of the Beyer M160. Let's move it on over. Let's try. You can see the picture of the cab changing down there. Ooh, let's use a high watt cab. Let's see what that sounds like. So fun. I wonder what happens if I move that mic. Now I'm going to keep him close and on the edge of the speaker because I wanted that kind of thumpy, not very bright sound because the lead guitar is so bright. I'll just leave that on like that. I like that sound. I'm going to change it back. So yeah, there's those. Now, that's usually what I'll dump down to iTunes and load on my phone and listen along to on my in-ear monitors as I play along. Then the real guitar comes in. So here's Mr. Mustang by himself. Gnarly. So yeah, I was going for like, I was doing an example of all the Mark Ribot kind of bright, skronky things. So, my guitar is mic'd up with a ribbon mic and all the pre-processing. Yeah, that's a word. So here we are. We're going to look at what I did to the Mustang. The first thing I usually do to a real guitar is EQ it a little bit. I love the Garageband EQs. Let's turn the EQ off. Turn the analyzer on. The analyzer shows you your actual waveform. Oh, because the EQ's off. That's why you don't see it. Duh. So you can kind of see where your frequency is stronger. And here's the thing, again, pause. With GarageBand, go up to those windows and see, oh, look at that. They got it all loaded up for you. Oh, if you're like, you know what? That guitar is too bright. I want to make it darker. What's that sound like? Slight difference. Oh, let's make it sound like a megaphone. That's kind of silly. Okay, let's go back to guitar settings. I'm just going to go to going off the screen here. Guitar sweetener. That's kind of a nice one. In general, I should pause. At the very least, with guitars, pull out this low mud down here below 50 or 100. You don't need that stuff. That's just low rumbles. All that does is just, I don't know, you just don't need it. I leave that for the bass drum to take up those fundamental frequencies. That's like a #1 thing with mixing. Every engineer or producer I've ever asked for advice, like, yeah, go ahead and pull that junk out of there. So yeah, I like that guitar sweetener. Here it is in the track. Sits nicely in there. I should point out my panning. I tend to put my guitar always a little to the right. I stand on that side of the stage when I play, and it's also, my guitar is usually bright, so it's like a piano, like the low frequencies are down over here, and then the higher ones are over here. That's kind of how I view it, so that the listener, it's like they're sitting in front of the piano almost, where low frequencies are kind of centered on this side, and then it gets brighter and brighter as you go to this side, just like a piano. The last thing I usually do is on the entire track, and by the way, to get to this window, you have to go up to the top of your screen. I don't think I can move my screen capture to get it, but the selector that says track, and then you go into track, and you'll see a control that says show master track. Yeah, there it is over there. That'll pull this guy up, and on the entire track, I'll then go ahead and use some of my Valhalla Effects vintage Verb. Look how pretty that is. Just look how good it looks. And if you've watched my videos, you know I love warm colors and easy to use knobs. And again, This is all too confusing for me. I'm not very smart with this stuff, so I just go through presets until something sounds good. And notice it defaults some of these to mix to 100. Yeah, let's pull that back to a reasonable thing. Now the goal here I'm trying to do is just kind of get everything to come together, to, you know, to just kind of make it feel like all these imaginary musicians were playing in a room together. So that's why I put just, you know, 20 to 30% reverb on the whole track. Sometimes I might put this on a specific guitar track too, if I really want to just make it drippy. Let's see, where's like one that I use a lot. Let's try a clear chamber, 30%. It is without. It's very subtle, just kind of rounds everything off, makes it seem like it's all together. Just for fun, let's change the colors. Now when you change the colors, it does change some of the stuff, but honestly my studio monitors aren't even good enough to tell the difference. Don't worry about it. Now, so that's some Valhalla Vintage Verb. Yeah, and in general, again, the plugins are where everything is on GarageBand. There's just all these things down here hiding. They're not very easy to find. The other thing I'll usually do is put a compressor on the whole track. You know, I'm a vintage guy. I love tube amps and old things, so I go up here to my compressor presets. Let me pull this up so you can see it. Oh, look at all that. If I had drums, I could use these for the drums. Keyboards, I could use those. You know, like they thought it through, and then it's just up to you to like, oh, tape. Tape is good. I like tape. I grew up, you know, using 4 tracks and reel-to-reels and stuff like that. So, you know, I'm always like, oh, that's the better sound. So I again, this is to glue everything together and kind of make it all kind of, nothing jump out. The analogy I like to use when explaining this is compressors. They're like an antidepressant for music. They take the highs and bring them down. They take, you know, frequency like dB wise, you know, they'll bring it down for you. Anything too low, it'll bring it up for you. It'll even it out, kind of, you know, make the extremes lesser. And here's the important thing. The gain on these compressors is really important because you don't want to, depending on how hard the ratio is pushing, which is how hard it's smacking it down, and it might redline your main track. So let's see, it's at 1.5 dB. Let's see if that's redlining. It is redlining. That's bad. Pull it down. Yeah, now we're safer. No red lines. In general, I've been told by producer and engineer friends you want to keep stuff below -3 and -6 dB, you know, just comfortably chilling out there. Again, coming from tape, we're used to slamming things pretty hard and getting like a little bit of tape distortion. Sounds good, it compresses it and sounds nice, but in the digital world it does not sound nice. It sounds unnice. And so, yeah, I would not recommend that. You kind of keep an eye. If you notice, I've kept an eye on all my tracks, keeping them from redlining, kind of keeping them in the -6 to -3 range, if possible. GarageBand's meters aren't that great, but yeah, you can see nobody's hitting too hard. You know, so then I know that like when I mix it down, nobody's going to jump out. So I think we have it covered. I build it up with keys, then I add the drums, and then I add the bass, and then maybe a rhythm guitar. Sometimes I add that after, and then my real guitar. And the final step is, kind of gluing everything together with the master track. Very cool. Well, I hope that is fun and helpful for you. Thanks for watching.